Hello, everyone, and welcome to GodSaw's Turnbuckle, the wrestling podcast. I am running over here on YouTube.com, and we are here, and it is time to finally bring back reviews. And the first thing that we're going to be reviewing here, it's been a while since I've done any type of reviews or anything on this channel. We're going to be reviewing Wrestlemania 36 Night 2. Yes, I'm doing night 2 first at this point in time because I have gotten around to watching night 1. I did watch it live. I just have not gotten around to doing the review for it. I am going to do that in a separate video based on the aspect of both nights, honestly are completely different from one another, to go along with it. And I'll go through everything that you would, how I felt about night 1 and everything in that one in a different video, but this one is going to be night 2, and this one will actually probably release first since I am recording it first, and it is, in my mind, the freshest at this time. We'll go ahead and start with the pre-show match, which was Liv Morgan going up against Natalya. This was a pretty decent match. It was a kind of a standard back and forth style affair from both ends. Natalya working heel, though she was mainly babyface throughout the entire thing to go along with it as well. Honestly, this was a pretty decent match. Nothing too spectacular to write home about, but Liv Morgan picking up the victory after a series of different pinfall attempts. She eventually picks up the victory over Natalya. Like I said, pretty decent match. Nothing spectacular to write home about. After this, we did get, again, Stephanie McMahon welcoming us for night 2 of WrestleMania and sending a little quick message. For both nights, she sent a quick message before sending it into that awesome video package that they had for the beginning of WrestleMania, which you would have assumed would have been the only time that you would have seen it if it was in the normal circumstances of them being in the stadium. Obviously, based upon everything going on in the world at the time, that wasn't going to happen. That's why it was done over 2 nights to go along with it. So we got that video package once again, and they kicked off the second night of the show with, again, another title match. Much like from the first night, you had Asuka and Kairi Sane going up against Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross for the women's tag team titles. You got the NXT Women's Championship match here to start off night 2. It is going to be Rhea Ripley going up against Charlotte. And this match itself was a very hard-hitting match throughout the entire match. A lot of back and forth at the beginning, and a lot of domination from Rhea Ripley at the beginning of the match, where you had Rhea Ripley even hitting the Riptide really early on for a 2 count. They did do a lot of trading back and forth afterwards, and then eventually Charlotte actually starts working over the knee and working it over for an extended period of time. Even to the point of, Rhea having to continually sell it after each move she was doing, and she was trying to continually use her power, but she also was selling the knee throughout the entire match. You had Rhea Ripley even get the reverse or the standing Texas Cloverleaf onto Charlotte. She tries to pull Charlotte back into the middle of the ring. Charlotte counters it and then does apply the figure 4, which eventually she gets it into the figure 8. And this eventually makes Rhea Ripley tap out. Now, by no means, even though it was a full-on clean tap out or anything like that, was this a bad thing towards Rhea Ripley or anything to go along with it. She did not look bad in this match by any stretch of the imagination. She does come out looking a lot stronger, even in defeat, and you would have to assume now with Charlotte being NXT Women's Champion, she will be moving over to NXT for however long. We'll be honest with you, for however long they are going to be doing what they're doing with this one. And like I said, we won't really talk too much about the outside situation for everything, because this was mainly focusing around the actual show itself. Charlotte wins this match. I thought this was a very good match. It was probably a little bit shocking, but to have Charlotte go over, and she's going to be moving back over to NXT. This would make for the fourth person to go from main roster back to NXT. in this case, in the terms of moving over there. You had Finn Balor move over there at the beginning of everything with NXT when it went over to the USA Network, and then you had Breezango, basically Tyler Breeze and Fandango moving over there. Now you're having another bigger named person moving over to the NXT brand, and it's going to be Charlotte in this particular case. And honestly, we're going to probably be getting down the line we're going to be getting takeover matches with Charlotte in them to go along with it. Should be very interesting. I thought this was a very good match. There was a lot of technique used in this one, but they also made it feel like this was a fight between the two of them, and it came out very hard hitting, and I thought it came off really good. Up next, we have Aleister Black going up against Bobby Lashley. This is a pretty decent affair. There's not too much to really write home about it. I thought the match itself was decent enough. A lot of the storyline elements for this match were told towards the beginning, or not towards the beginning, but towards the end of the match, where you had it looked like Bobby Lashley was in a more dominant position, was actually going to be going for the Dominator on Aleister Black, but Lana gets up on the ring and says, no, don't do that, use the spear. So Lashley just drops Aleister Black without delivering the move, sets up for the spear, goes for it, runs into the Black Mass Roundhouse kick, and Aleister Black picks up the victory. Again, I thought this personally was a decent match. No massive build or anything to go along with it on that one, but overall I thought they at least delivered a decent outing to go along with it. Up next, we have what was probably, at least on the SmackDown side, one of their more better told stories going into the match itself. It's going to be Otis going up against Dolph Ziggler. I thought this was, again, a fairly good match. You had Dolph Ziggler with mainly the main control of the match throughout the beginning portions of it. Otis does begin to kind of do like his impervious to pain bit and everything, and starts making a big comeback. He eventually does get Dolph Ziggler down with a series of moves, and also a one-man variation of the compactor, which is from from their tag team to go along with it. He was going to go for the caterpillar. Sonya gets not into the ring, but she gets to the up on the ring apron, distracts him. This causes for a low blow, and it looked like we were going to have Dolph Ziggler picking up the victory and was setting it up at the time. But lo and behold, Mandy Rose comes out, and Mandy Rose comes out based off of everything that happened on Friday Night SmackDown, everything to go along with that, where they were showing what happened between with the text messages, everything like that, with what happened on the night of the Valentine's Day thing that they had done a while back with Otis and Mandy Rose, Dolph Ziggler, all that fun jazz. She comes out, she slaps, she just walks up to Sonya Deville and slaps her. They start brawling on the outside. Sonya gets into the ring. This causes the ref to get distracted. Dolph was running over towards Mandy. He's like, what are you doing? You're ruining this. And she runs into the ring and just gives Dolph a big low blow, and Otis hits the caterpillar and picks up the victory. I thought this was a very, in the terms of actual in-ring action, was a fairly just decent affair. It wasn't a great affair by any stretch of the imagination, but it was in the terms of storytelling and everything like that, a very good affair, a very good bit that they went out there with, and a very good way of finishing off the story. Otis and Mandy celebrate. They share a kiss in the middle of the ring to go along with it, and Otis and Mandy are now going to be an item. So for the time being, this storyline is having somewhat of a happy ending, which is not something you usually expect from WWE or anything like that in storylines like this. Up next, as I'm going to get a drink of water as well, up next is Edge going up against Randy Orton, and it is a last man standing match. And this match was long. Let's not get this wrong. It was a fairly long affair in the terms of having their match and everything that they had set up. I actually really love the beginning. Honestly, I actually thought this match in general was just great. With everything that they set up, they took their time to set everything up and go into each different spot and each different story element that they were going into. The beginning of the match was, you had Edge in the ring. He was waiting for Randy Orton to come out. Orton's music's hitting. He's not coming out and everything like that. And lo and behold, Randy Orton jumps into the ring and RKO out of nowhere. Comes flying into the camera, RKO out of nowhere. And now Edge is down. They show a camera bit from there that he was disguised at ringside as a cameraman and ran into the ring when he knew Edge had his back turned. I like that nice little touch there, and I like the fact that they decided to add that in there to show that, to go along with it. Edge gets to his feet. That's when the match starts. He gets hit quickly again with a second RKO. They start brawling to the outside of the ring, and yes, this is going to be a giant melee that uses a decent amount of the performance center. They spend a long period of time inside of the gym. They go into the conference room area, and then they eventually head into a storage room area where everything was going to be ending with that one. Different aspect, and they did do a good job of using the different aspects of each of the different rooms. They had like this steel caging up on the top of the conference room area that Edge did an elbow drop off of, where he literally did like a Spider-Man type bit and falls a bit down onto Randy Orton with an elbow, which I actually ended up liking. They used a lot of different equipment inside of the gym to go along with it, in the terms of the weights, the different machines and everything that go along with that as well. They even had Randy Orton tie up, I'm not sure what the apparatus was, but they had him tie up Edge in a position where it almost felt like he was trying to choke him out or anything to go along with that. Decent stuff, a lot of really good stuff going through this entire area. When they got to the storage room area, they brawled through the entire storage room area that they had there, and Edge came off of one of the tall shelving areas to deliver an elbow through a set of tables onto Randy Orton from down below. And I'm just saying, this was a really, really, really good last man standing match. They set up with getting over to a pickup truck area where a lot of the final match ended out being. Edge was getting thrown into the bed of the pickup truck. Randy Orton does his draping DDT onto the back end of the pickup truck as well. They do climb up to the storage truck, or the tractor trailer portion for the trailer portion for one of the trucks, and they fight up there, and that's where everything kind of finishes off at. And they do really go into a lot of different areas here. I like the aspect of even Randy Orton saying, ref, don't count, I'm not done. I'm not done. I'll tell you when to count. I like the little snippets of that. He tries to set up for a punt on the top of the trailer, and Edge reverses it with a spear. But Orton does hit an RKO up there. He goes back down, gets two chairs, brings it up. It looks like he's going to go for a concerto with those ones. But Edge reverses it, and he puts kind of like that standing almost triangle style submission hold, I'm not sure exactly what it's called, onto Randy Orton as he begins to pass out. It looks like the ref's going to be getting the count, and you just have Edge goes like, it's like, how did he exactly say it? I think he was like, ref, stop fucking counting, and he was like, I'm not done. And it basically goes back to where it all began after the Royal Rumble, where Randy Orton delivered a concerto to Edge. Edge returns the favor tonight, finishes the match by delivering a concerto. He cannot answer the 10 counts. And, all fairness to this one, I thought this was absolutely fantastic. I thought this was a great match, and it came off really, really well to me on that one. After this, we get a little bit of kind of downtime with this one. We have a little bit of 24/7 stuff with Mojo Rawley getting chased out into the arena area by a bunch of the different guys. Where Mojo had won the 24/7 title from R-Truth the night before. Gronk even made mention to trying to win the title, which he does here. Gronk does win the title after doing a trust fall off of the apparatus, the crow's nest area that Gronk had been doing the hosting from. He jumps off there, lands on him, pins Mojo, and runs off to go along with it. And lo and behold, Gronk is no longer hosting the rest of the show. Actually, the last little snippets that they do with hosting was done by Titus O'Neil. I like that little touch to go along with that. Up next, we had the Raw Tag Team title match, which is going to be Angel Garza and Austin Theory, who was replacing Andrade because of a rib injury, going up against the Street Profits. And, this was a very fast-paced match. This was a decent match in a fair. To be completely fair, it was a decent match. It was a very fast-paced one that the Street Profits did end up picking up the victory with Montez Ford hitting his frog splash while I believe it was Angel Garza trying to go for a pin on Angelo Dawkins, and they get the victory with that one. After the match, you had Garza, Theory, and Zelina Vega attacking Montez Ford and Dawkins. Lo and behold, Bianca Belair makes the save. She comes out and makes the save. Now, if you want to play off of real life areas, Bianca Belair is the wife of Montez Ford, so it makes sense on that one. Character-wise, they don't necessarily make sense to be together, but in the terms of you're playing towards real life, it makes sense on that particular one. That was a nice little interesting move, and it looks like that maybe Bianca Belair is going to be moving up to the main roster here very soon, if not, or do we even really call it the main roster anymore? She'll probably be moving to Raw with the Street Profits at some point in time to go along with that, and we'll see how everything plays out with that one as well. Up next, we have the Fatal 5-Way, which is the Fatal 5-Way for the SmackDown Women's title. It is also an elimination style match. It is Sasha Banks, Lacey Evans, Tamina, Naomi, and Bayley, and I thought this was a fairly good match. I liked, they did tell a nice story through this one. They were getting Tamina over throughout the entire match and through the weeks beforehand, as she was going to be a dominant force. She looked like a dominant force inside of this one because she was continually fighting off all four of the other women in the match and was actually being successful at periods of time. Now, she does fall prey to the factors that all four of them teamed up. They hit a mixture of signatures and finishers on her, and then all four of them pick up the pin on Tamina because she cannot kick out at that point. After this, you had Sasha Banks eliminating Naomi with the bank statement after a backstabber. This is also after the factor of Naomi getting her submission finisher. I forget what it's called off the top of my head, onto Sasha Banks, but they have been playing up the aspect that Bayley and Sasha have been friends throughout this entire time. They play that off to go in this one as well, and they were helping each other inside of this match. Bayley helps Sasha get out of that maneuver, which eventually leads into Sasha getting the bank statement on Naomi. She taps out. After this, actually, Sasha ends up getting eliminated. So Sasha gets eliminated by Lacey Evans in the women's right after that big right hand. The way that this went down is that they both Bayley and Sasha were doing exactly what they were doing with everyone else to Lacey Evans. They have Sasha set up Bayley set up Lacey in the corner for Bayley to deliver a running knee. Lacey gets out of the way, and Bayley accidentally hits Sasha. They begin to argue a little bit inside of the ring, but Bayley's like, we'll take care of this. We'll talk after the match, everything to go along with that. And then Bayley pushes Sasha out of the way because Lacey was coming in. She stops a punch from Lacey, turns and then swings Lacey to go around, but she hits the women's right on Sasha. Bayley was down, didn't try to save, or Bayley was back down after trying to stop that move, but doesn't come back to save Sasha. Looked like she was going to, but then sat back a little bit, and it's like, okay, that's done. A little reminiscent to, I don't know, maybe an Elimination Chamber match from 2005, I think 2006, I believe 2006 on that one, with Batista and Triple H. A little bit of a throwback to that on that particular one. So Lacey and Bayley do have a little bit of a back and forth. Again, I thought this, in the terms of everything, was pretty good, and it set up storyline beats for down the line and everything to go along with that as well. You did not have any type of turn between Sasha and Bayley in this particular case, because Sasha comes back and helps out Bayley, giving Lacey Evans the backstabber. Bayley hits her what I think was in the Independence, when she was in the Independent times, called the Rose Plant. I don't know what she calls it in WWE, to pick up the victory and keep the SmackDown Women's title. You had Sasha bring the belt to Bayley. She puts it around her waist, but she also takes a quick look at it as well, kind of teasing that we're going to be getting something down the line between the two of them. And like I said, I thought this was a fairly good match, and overall I thought it was a very good night to go along with that. Now, this is going to be a very decisive match to really even think about. We have gotten to John Cena versus Bray Wyatt, the Fiend Bray Wyatt, but also a lot of Bray Wyatt in the Firefly Funhouse match. This was a wild trip, and you take a look at every little snippet that they did here, and I will go into each different thing and also what I think they were trying to tell you to go along with this particular match, to go along with that as well. Cena shows up in the arena. I was like, okay, this match is going to start in the arena or anything to go along with that. His music's there. He's kind of awkwardly, it's like, what do I do? What do I do? And then he looks in the camera, is like, welcome to Wrestlemania. And before he gets to that, it gets cut off, and they go through a lot of different areas of saying Vince saying Wrestlemania and a few other little snippets. And then lo and behold, Bray Wyatt shows up. He starts cutting a promo on the Firefly Funhouse and exits the door. And lo and behold, who gets teleported in? That's right, he gets teleported in, and it's only going to get weirder from here on that one. And Cena gets teleported into the Firefly Funhouse. He talks to Rambling Rabbit talks to him really quickly, tells him to be careful as Cena follows in. Cena gets in there. He's in just a darkened room and everything to go along with that. And then lo and behold, you see Kurt Angle's old Ruthless Aggression promo from Cena's first night starting to air. And then Bray is also mimicking it inside of the ring, calling out anyone to challenge him. And then Cena comes out, and they have the SmackDown fist there. It's the old SmackDown fist from the old set there. And he makes an entrance in actual, like, John Cena gear from that Ruthless Aggression, from that first night. I don't think it was the exact gear, but it was gear that he would have been dressed in for that first particular night. And he goes in there, is like, what? And Bray, again, mimics the Kurt Angle thing. It's like, what is the quality that you have? And he says, Ruthless Aggression. Goes for the slap like he did with Kurt. Bray ducks. And he says it again. Bray ducks. Says it again. Bray ducks. And Bray starts talking about everything that happened within that first year with Cena, even making mention that he was no wonder why he almost got fired or anything to go along with that as well. He also makes a nice little dig in there to go along with that after one of the swings, because Cena tries to swing one more time and he goes like, "You can look, but you can't touch." The nod to the Nikki Bella stuff on that one. And that's what this entire cinematic was about. It was about like like the entire history of John Cena, also the past of Bray Wyatt, and also little smarky tidbits in between to go along with that. After this, they cut into like a very 80s style Saturday night main event bit where they have Mercy the Buzzard as Macho Man, and then they have the Vince puppet in there as well to go along with that. And this was just really good stuff. I liked how, you had Hogan, or you had Bray Wyatt. You didn't actually have Hogan, but he was doing like a Hulk Hogan, and he was talking up the person who's going to be his tag team partner and everything go along with that for the Saturday night main event. He says he has no talent, but he's built and chiseled, and once you see him, it's like, yeah. And it's like Johnny. It's like oh, I forget what it was off the top of my head, but it was hilarious. It was hilarious to go along with that. I would recommend watching those little bits here. And like I said, it gets very, very weird. But eventually, like, Cena's cutting a promo while lifting weights and everything to go along with that, but he snaps out of it and wants to attack Bray. Bray throws him out of the screen, sends him back into the SmackDown area, where now he's Dr. of Thugonomics. And John Cena starts cutting a promo in the old rap variations. Bray says he's nothing but a bully, and taking everything that people say and making it a joke to go along with it during that time frame, and kind of a lot of what Cena was doing during that time. It was also one of the few times in his area that he ended up being heel to go along with it on those particular ones. And that was a very interesting snippet in there. He makes reference to Husky Harris and everything, or Cena makes reference to Husky Harris and everything to go along with that. But then lo and behold, as Cena was going to attack Bray in the corner, Bray teleports and moves, and they had the chain and everything there as well, the chain and lock. But when he reappears, now Bray has the chain and lock, hits Cena with it. You would kind of expect that to end it. But no, we go into a Bray Wyatt variation, original Bray Wyatt, where he was talking about his family and everything like that. And we start getting little snippets of WrestleMania 30 inside of there to go along with it. He tells Cena, he gets, when he comes back to the ring, he has the rocking chair in the ring. He goes to give Sister Abigail to Cena, but then lets it up and saying, it's like, we all know this isn't what this was supposed to be. Saying is like, you made the wrong decision that night, because he gave him the chair and told him to finish him on that night. And then Bray here tells him, make the right decision tonight. He swings the chair this time around, and Bray disappears. And then we get a little glimpse of what was going to be next, which was kind of what everybody wanted Cena to be the entire time, which was a cool heel. So that was the aspect of it. They wanted people wanted him to be a cool style heel instead of the lovable baby face, everything like that. One of the reasons why Cena was being booed for so long, and why a lot of people, at least internet community areas, were not a big fan of him to go along with it during that time frame. And so what did they do to represent this? NWO. You have Bray Wyatt representing Eric Bischoff, introducing John Cena, and he's doing his best Hollywood Hogan impersonations, everything like that. What Hollywood Hogan was doing during that time, he was finally playing heel, like people were wanting him to do. Cena's doing that here, but Cena snaps out of it. He goes after Bray, starts punching at him. You have the others like, no, you're hurting him, and all of a sudden, when you look back down, it's not Bray anymore. It's Huskus the Pig. And then you cut back to the Mercy and the Vince puppet, and you get a little bit in there. And I know this is just probably a little dig at the Moxley interview or anything like that from back in the Talk Is Jericho segment. And you have the Vince puppets going like, "It's such good shit," and then they go to the next bit. You have Cena in his current form, his most current variation, and he's just like, what's going on? The Fiend appears behind him. He attacks, putting the mandible claw in, and then he hits Sister Abigail, and then puts the mandible claw in one more time, and then you have Bray, Firefly Funhouse Bray, making the pinfall inside of the ring. Bray wins the Firefly Funhouse match. The Fiend wins, technically, in this particular area. At the end, the Fiend does his normal bit of, "Let me in," and Cena disappears. Like I said, this is going to be very decisive. This is going to be a very polarizing style match. I've always been a big fan of the cinematic touches of wrestling to go along with it. I watched a good amount of Lucha Underground. I like the Final Deletion stuff. Probably out of the most of the cinematic stuff that has happened in wrestling, the only thing I didn't really care for was the House of Horrors match to go along with it. Like the Ultimate Deletion. I'll talk more about the Boneyard match when I get to WrestleMania Night 1 on those particular ones as well. I really enjoyed this one. And here's what I think they were trying to do throughout this entire thing. The story that they were trying to tell you was, again, a history of John Cena. Everything that John Cena was, but not just a history of it. Tearing it away piece by piece by piece until you get current day John Cena, and you've taken his character and you've ripped it all away. Ripped every last shred of it away. And he's gone. Guys, I don't know if this is actually going to be the case, but in the terms of writing somebody off, that almost felt like as a full-on write-off that Cena may not be coming back. And they even through the line in there is that if there's one thing that this match is going to represent, it's going to end the career of the most overprivileged, overhyped superstar in WWE history. Now, when Cena was saying, he was referring to Bray Wyatt, but in the terms of this match, was this ending John Cena? That's a possibility. On that particular one, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was great. The references that they put in there were really good. It was definitely more towards a Smarky style, making the references, but I like the aspect of them also taking the John Cena character and taking its little bits and taking them away and ripping them shred from shred and getting rid of them. And to go along with it, I thought this was really good. Really well told story in this one. I like the aspect also of afterwards when they cut back to the arena. You just have Titus O'Neil there as like, what did I just see? It's like, I don't know what I just saw. And it was definitely a good representation of what just happened there. I thought they knocked this out of the ballpark, and I thought this was absolutely fantastic. So this leads us to the main event, which is going to be Drew McIntyre going up against Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship. And I like this match. Now, it will also represent towards what this match was a lot of what you saw from the Goldberg Braun Strowman match from the night before. Now, there's going to be a big difference, and this is going to be a little bit of a clue, and I'll explain more when I get to the WrestleMania Night 1 area as well in the separate video. But I'm going to go off and say that this match worked where Braun and Goldberg didn't. And the reason why that it worked in this particular case is that there was enough of a story going into it with the promos from Paul Heyman and everything like that. With Braun Strowman and Goldberg, based off of everything that was going on and Roman having to pull out of the match, or Roman pulling himself out of the match and everything like that, there was no story to be told there with this one. So the match starts off really quick. And it looks like it may even potentially end quickly with Drew McIntyre hitting a Claymore kick right off the bat. Gets 1, 2, Lesnar kicks out. I liked how they put over the move that nobody had really kicked out of it. It's been a long time, if ever, since Drew had come back, that somebody had kicked out of that move to go along with it. So I like how they put that over. He goes for it again, but Paul Heyman warns Brock. He gets out of the way, hits a few Germans, hits 1 F5. Cover. 1. That was it. So Brock goes ahead and hits it one more time, hits it again, hits the F5 one more time, 1, 2 on this one. And you can see a little bit of frustration from Brock, but it's like, you know what? Just keep doing it. He can't kick out. He can't kick out forever. And even after the third F5, that's what he had said, what Paul Heyman had said to him. So he hits the third F5, 1, 2, and yes, you get a little bit worried. It's like there was a different growth for each F5. You would think, oh, here comes the 3. No, Drew kicks out one more time. Paul goes he's like, you know what? Just keep hitting it until he can't kick out. You can do this all night. Brock says, yep, got this all night long, as Drew tries to drag himself up, counters the F5, hits 1 Claymore. Brock's getting up. 2nd Claymore. Brock's still getting up. Drew hits the Claymore one more time. 1, 2, 3. Drew McIntyre is the WWE champion. I thought this was a good match. I thought this was a good way of doing it based off of the story that they had set up. This was, yes, a very fast match and technically was not all that great. It was a lot of finishers to go along with it. But with the intensity that they put into this, and also the intensity that they had put into the storyline with some of the promo packages that you'd seen weeks after the Claymores that Brock had done, and also the stuff from the Royal Rumble to go along with it, it made it work in this particular case. Drew actually starts celebrating, and I liked this little snippet. He understood that the crowd wasn't going to be there, so he's like, he looks at the camera, reaches towards the camera a little bit, and is like, thank you to the people that have been supporting him through this entire time. To go along with that, he celebrates as Brock is still in the ring, and they go off the air. Overall, WrestleMania Night 2, I thought, was a very good night. They did with what they had to work with and everything to go along with it. I thought they delivered a very, very good night of wrestling in this particular one. I thoroughly enjoyed WrestleMania Night 2 on those particular aspects of it. The Firefly Funhouse match was a wild trip, and man, was it crazy. On that particular one, I thoroughly enjoyed that. But also, matches themselves were at least decent or really good to go along with that. And yeah, overall, I thought this particular night of WrestleMania, I thought was really, really, really good. And it, big ups to everybody who was working on that and everything to go along with that as well. Based off of the circumstances and everything that was around this particular show, and just around the world in general at the time. was, they did a really good job with this one on that. And yeah, overall, very good night. And with that being said, that is everything I've got for WrestleMania Night 2. I am going to be coming back a little bit later, maybe tomorrow, with WrestleMania Night 1 as a separate video. I wanted to talk about that separately with it as well. But with that being said, peace out. Take care, everybody. Hope you're staying well and healthy out there, and have a great rest of your night.